So now, speaking of steps, we have a few first steps in the room. Catherine and Ed. Where is Ed? Ed's out here somewhere. Catherine, Ed, there you go. Could you both stand? Let's give them a hand. As you know, they are on the second or third terrace of our property here, and I get to hear with my museum right next door. I want you to know, whether you know it or not, I hear the children practicing. Because right next door, where you guys are practicing in the two rooms, my museum is there. And I hear it. It's always about 11 o'clock to 11:30, I hear it. And it's beautiful. And so I always say, we've got to have the children come and sing at church, especially at Christmas time. As Cosette said, we are family, we are Christian. And so we've asked them to do 2 Armenian language songs and 2 English language songs. So the first 2 are coming up. I want to thank you so much. Let's give a hand to the children. Come on down and let's have some more beautiful music. Thank you to First Steps and all the young people.
Oh,
I have to say, one of you guys in the front, you are into it, man. And by the way, I've heard you doing that in my museum as well. So now I put a face to the voice. It's so nice to have you all here. Let's give another hand to them. It's beautiful. This message today is going to be a bit different than what you're used to. So, if no one likes it, I'll run away quickly because I got to run to Journey to Bethlehem immediately following. So I apologize for not having the museum open. But, by the way, one more thing. Don't forget in your prayers, Manju. Manjula, she's in the hospital, and we want to remember her as well. She's doing much better, but it's been hard. So, and her mom as well. So, Jesus told a parable in Luke chapter 19, called the rich man and Lazarus. And someone else took that, modified it for Christmas. His name was Charles Dickens. Interestingly enough, it's a little odd, different. And as I was thinking today, I want you to be ready because we're going to have some little bits of video today. But this story was about a guy named Ebenezer. Does anyone know what Ebenezer is? That's true. It is Ebenezer Scrooge. But do you know what the word Ebenezer means? Stone, which is very interesting because there's a stone scene very soon in this. Ebenezer. You know, you always have that song, "Now I Raise My Ebenezer." And I said, what is an Ebenezer? So I looked it up. It's like a stone or a memorial. Memorial. This guy is a guy that had a lot of money, but you'd never know it. And of course it's set in the 1800s, around just after the same time as, if you'll remember in your history, the Reign of Terror in France. Well, economics were messed up everywhere. You had this haves and have-nots battle going on, and also in Britain. There was that happening. And amongst all of this, the Tale of Two Cities time, a small story was written by Charles Dickens called A Christmas Carol. It started off with Marley was dead as a doornail. You will not understand any of the things that are about to be said unless you understand that first. Marley and Scrooge were business partners. Marley was very good at business. Scrooge he was not as good at business. He was good at saving money. And as the story moves along, you find that he will spend nothing. He has a clerk named Bob Cratchit. Interesting, Bob Cratchit. Like a crutch. Cratchit. And he has a son, among his many kids, named Tiny Tim, who does have a crutch. Bob Cratchit works for this guy, Ebenezer Scrooge. And yet, he works way over time. Ebenezer Scrooge doesn't pay the kind of money he needs, but in hard economic times, you're stuck with the job you have. And always at Christmas time, Bob asks for the whole day off of Christmas. And Marley says, or should I say Ebenezer Scrooge says, what an excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. So I pay you, but I don't get a day's work, because at the end of the month, he pays a certain amount of money. And that's how it begins through this. one day he's visited by 3 ghost spirits. Now, you don't know in the dream whether it's actual or whether it's a dream at night, because that's how it's written. It's not meant to be real. It's meant to be wisdom. Do you remember the book of Ecclesiastes that we dealt with? Remember that 2 years ago or about a year ago? Wisdom is deep, hard to understand, and it's done that way for a purpose. Well, Jesus has a message for us through this. I will be opening my Bible with the text that is specific. But as we enter holiday season, as we enter Christmas, we need to take our minds and think about what it means for real. I know we open presents and you go into the store and you hear the music going and you see all the sales. Isn't that great when you see the sales? And you start saying, I don't have enough money for normal life, but now there's a bunch of sales. Maybe I can have a 2-for-1 special. Then the restaurant says, oh, if you buy a $100 gift card, you can get free $20. Ooh. Now the giving is to myself. I'll buy $100 and then I'll get $120 and I'll take my wife out and she won't even know. I saved an extra 20. You know how it goes? You know how we are? We all kind of are a little bit like Ebenezer. So now, let's take a look here. We're going to go ahead and put it up in the corner and on the online here. I'd like you to now take a look. I'm going to move us forward through this. Ebenezer Scrooge, and this is from, and I will be giving credit for those of you on YouTube. Sometimes YouTube is amazing. And so this is for educational purposes only, my friends. And it has been edited accordingly. But this is from a musical Scrooge with Albert Finney, made by Paramount back in 1970. An incredible film that is not well known at all. There's a reason why it's not well known at all, because Albert Finney sings in it. And anything that Albert Finney sings in, I'm not sure you want to know it. But it's an incredible message and it has some heart. So this is in the midst of it. Christmas, the past had come, and then we get the present. But the sermon title today is, For Theirs is the Kingdom of Heaven. And I want you to think about it for a quick second. When it comes to this message, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, I want you to think about in Matthew. If your Bibles are here, before we start it up, in the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 13, it says, when people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them, the disciples rebuked to them. That kind of sounds like church sometimes, right? I know it's hard. We had a bunch of wonderful children here. But you know, sometimes there's talking. Sometimes it doesn't fit our needs, right? Well, are they needs, right? Sometimes we are just like the disciples. They rebuke, says, let the children bother Jesus later. He has more important things to do. And Jesus said, let the little children come unto me, and forbid them not. For the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Let's watch as the ghost, so to say, ghost of Christmas present, and you're going to find the banter back and forth is great in this. As the ghost of Christmas present is going to show Ebenezer Scrooge the Bob Cratchit that he never noticed. And while we see this, I want you to realize that there are people in your life that you don't know what they're struggling with. You have no clue. I don't have a clue with so many people, and he's going to discover.
Over there lies the lavish home of Robert Cratchit, Esquire, who owes both the opulence of his surroundings and the magnificence of his Christmas celebrations to the high principles and generous spirit of his employer.
I want to look in the window.
It will cost you nothing, which I'm sure will be good news for you.
Will they be able to see me?
No, which I feel sure will be good news for them.
That's right. So he's going to go and see what's going on at this house of this poor family. Remember, he is quite rich. He is quite rich, and he's having a hard time enjoying his life. And yet the poor Bob Cratchit with many children look at their Christmas.
Bob Cratchit, you're a genius.
And here they are, the one and only carol-singing Cratchits, newly returned from their triumphant musical tour.
How did you do, Tiny Tim?
Temper table.
Ooh,
You see,
well done.
Another fantastic coup by young
in a
Timothy
world where there
Cratchit.
is not much money and there are no government systems to help anyone, the children go and sing, get money, and that helps them for Christmas.
If I may steal a moment of your valuable time, I would ask you to drink a toast to the sparkling good health of the two gentlemen whose industry and generosity have provided our sumptuous
Listen
Christmas
carefully.
feast. Master Timothy Cratchit.
Tim?
Here.
And Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge.
What are you trying to do? Ruin our Christmas?
But his money paid for the goose, my dear.
No. Your money paid for the goose, my dear.
But he paid me the money.
Because you earned it, my love. 15 shillings a week at
Watch
threepence an
out.
hour. Not a penny rise in 8 years. Believe me, you earned it.
Quite right. You, listen to this.
Founder of our feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon. He'd have indigestion for a month.
My dear, the children. It's Christmas.
It needs to be Christmas,
Yeah.
Bob, to drink to a rotten, hard, stingy old miser like Scrooge.
But Ethel.
You know he is, Bob.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it better than you, my poor love.
To Christmas, my dear.
Children, we shall drink to your father for all the love and happiness he gives us. And to Tiny Tim for the health we
Yeah.
wish him. For the sake of your father, I'll even drink to that old miser, Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah, there you go.
Long life to him and to us all.
A Merry Christmas to us all.
Merry Christmas.
God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Now, did you hear that conversation? This is, these things happen in life. I like how Ebenezer is, by the way. He's like, hey, listen, as the Ghost of Christmas Present says, this guy's a useless human being that I'm talking to. Sure, I'll come listen. Here's an interesting thing. By the way, I want to apologize. I sometimes have to talk in the middle because YouTube forces me to do that because they'll give us copyright things. This is a teaching session. So every once in a while, I got to jump in, right? But I will say that we don't see how other people see us. Taking a step back and seeing how we are to others is important. And this was one of the things that Ebenezer, a blessing he was able to have. There are people in this world that treat other people in terrible, terrible ways. And yet, we don't have any clue how we treat others, or don't have a clue. Wouldn't it be great to see ourselves on the outside? Have you heard yourself, maybe on video, and said, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the voice. Oh, I don't like how I look. So then we learn how we can kind of make ourselves so it works better. Whenever I hear myself doing a sermon, I can't stand it. I can't stand my own sermons. That's why I don't listen to sometimes I have to because I say, what did I say? Somebody says I said something. I go, what did I say? I didn't say that. But anyway, Ebenezer is being given a blessing. But the question is what is he going to do with that blessing? The deeper question is, what are you going to do with your life's blessing as you look at your own life from the outside? Tiny Tim is going to now sing a song that he received, one of the songs he received money on the streets. Like I said earlier, there are no social programs in old Britain. The only social programs that existed in the 1800s was the workhouses or the prisons. You remember those lines? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Ebenezer said. They can go there if they need to work off their debts. Or if they have nowhere to live, go to jail. You'll have 3 square a day. Really? So the way they make money when they have no money is singing or other things. And by the way, here in California, sometimes we get that, don't we? I was walking in front of Smart and Final, and the guy had his karaoke out there, and I know it's near Christmas time. Singing away. And I go, okay, am I going to give money to that? I don't know. But let's listen to Tiny Tim, see what he has to say.
And a song from Tiny Tim, and we'll have her back on her regal feet in no time. Well, there's your punch. Now, where's our song, my Tiny Tim? Come on, Tim.
On a beautiful day that I dream about, in a world I would love to see.
This is a very poor family.
Beautiful place where
Ebenezer sees nothing beautiful in his life
and it shines
with all that
in the
money.
sky
And
for
yet,
me.
little money sometimes
On
brings
this
about such beauty.
beautiful
Isn't that
winter's
interesting?
Morning, if my wish could come true somehow, then the beautiful day that I dream about would be here and now.
I know, it's a different culture, right? But you know, no matter what color of skin or what language, things work the same.
Beautiful winter's morning, if my wish could come true somehow,
This boy
then the beautiful day
has a
that I
illness
dream
that comes from the kidneys producing too much acid. That is why he has this crutch.
Good boy.
Well done, Tiny. Well done.
Listen
What
carefully.
an unpleasant child. You know, Scrooge, there are few things more nauseating to see than a happy family enjoying themselves at Christmas. Do you not agree?
Think Bob Cratchit's really rather fond of me.
Oh, and so's his wife. Couldn't you tell?
He doesn't really know me.
That is one of the few things wherein fate has blessed her.
And what will become of Tiny Tim?
Oh,
What's this? Concern over a sick child? Have you taken leave of your senses?
Don't mock me, Spirit. Is the child very sick? Not that it's of any great importance to me whether he's enough, but is he?
Well, of course he's sick.
of course.
You mean he's seriously ill?
Listen carefully.
Will he live? Well, will he?
What does it matter to you, Ebenezer Scrooge? If he's going to die, then he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Ebenezer used those words. Some people today do the exact same thing. We need population control. But we're human beings. And so now, he is drawn to the next important part of the message of, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, for he is drawn into the future. Some place where we oftentimes are not drawn in our lives. Teach us, Lord, to number our days, Moses said in Psalms, so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That means we need to look at what our decisions are now going to do for us in the future. Sometimes we do things in our lives off of emotion. We think that those things are going to be good now, but we don't look at the end result. This is important in our lives. Let's take a look and see what happens in the future. That's the ghost of Christmas future. He speaks not, he only points.
The colour hurts my eyes. I mustn't show weak eyes to your father when he gets home.
Yeah.
It's been near his time.
Past it.
He doesn't have money for
I think
glasses
he's
for
walked a
her,
little slower
so she
these
doesn't
last
want to
few
show
weeks.
that she can't
I've
see.
known him walk with Tiny Tim on his shoulder, very fast indeed.
Oh, there it
It was
is.
light to carry. Well, it was no trouble, no trouble.
Where is Tiny Tim? Take me to him.
It's London. Those large gravestones. And we will see a small one for those that do not have money and cannot afford. Have the smaller stone, just like today.
I must go now, my little fellow. I promised your mother I'd help her with the Christmas dinner. I'll come and see you again tomorrow. Same time. All right? Oh, dear.
Listen carefully.
Poor Tiny Tim. Spirit, you've shown me a Christmas yet to come that mingles great happiness with great sadness. But what is to become of me?
Uh-oh. Now, if you know the story, there was a lot of partying that was going on. But he didn't realize why. Yes, we're going to see the word Ebenezer, which means memorial. We all will be in the same soil. The question is, what are we going to do with the moments we have?
No. Please, I beg you. I've seen the error of my ways. I will repent. Truly, I will repent.
This is the time when we discover him at home, tied up in his bed sheets in the bed.
Where am I? I'm in my own room. I'm not in hell at all.
Let's turn up the volume just a hair.
Perhaps it didn't happen after all.
Perhaps it didn't happen.
Perhaps it did. But I'm alive.
Did you hear that?
I'm alive. I've got a chance to change, that I will not be the man I was.
Sometimes we look at old people and we say that person's going to be that way all the time. Sometimes we are young people and we think we're never going to change. We're going to do things exactly the way we want them.
And the future I build will be something.
I've got good news for you, my friends. In the book of Hebrews, should I say in the book of 2 Corinthians.
I have left to live and I will give it all
Chapter 6.
that I have left to give. I will live my days for my fellow men, and I live in praise of that moment when I was able to begin again.
All right, I'm not going to have you go through all the annex. It goes for a while. He knows how to party all of a sudden, amazingly, but I'm not sure I want to party with him. But did you hear that? In 2 Corinthians chapter 6, an amazing part, chapter 6 of 2 Corinthians, it says, as for God's co-workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. Verse 2. For he says, Paul is talking about God. For he says, in the time of my favor I heard you. On the day of salvation I helped you. Then he says to us all, Paul does right now, I tell you, now is the time of what? God's favor. Now is the day of salvation, not in the future. You know what this verse tells me? I can change. You can change. There's a term in Old English that is, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. That is not true. Where there is life, there is hope. Now let's take a quick second, because we're going to see just a few more. I promise you it's not going to be much longer. But here he is. We're not going to look at his party time, but we're going to see him now as a different Ebenezer Scrooge as he surprises the family.
Steal it. It's a present for you to keep. A Merry Christmas, Tiny Tim.
Look at that. Look at that big goose.
Yes. No.
Turn up the volume,
Father
please.
Christmas? It's all right, my dear. There's nothing to be frightened of.
No, I haven't gone mad. And on Monday, when your salary will be doubled,
Salary will be doubled. He has gone mad.
I can help your family to start with. We'll find the right doctors to get Tiny Tim well, and we will get him well, you know, Bob.
Yes, I believe you. I believe anything.
And may this be the merriest Christmas of all our lives. Come get him.
I won't make you listen to the whole musical number, but one last thing. I want you to listen to the words following.
As good a man as the old city knew. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. It was said of Ebenezer Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, every one.
I didn't have you go through the musical interlude again. But do you get the message? My friends, in our lives, sometimes we think things are so important. When we're young, we think certain things are important, and then we get older and other things are more important. But the truth is, there are things that are way more important than us. At this time of year is the time when we look back at our lives and ask ourselves, what would God want for us to do with our lives? How can you make this world or someone else's world a better place? Today is the day of salvation. You can change today. God bless you all.